Good afternoon. It is 6:05. You're watching Talk TV or listening to it live from the Talk Radio studio. It's a delight to be here. And I'm going to take the privilege of thinking forward to Sunday and saying to my brother Craig, my nephews Max and Jack, cousin Ben, cousin Matt, cousin Ben, and of course all of cousin Ben's carers, come on, you Spurs, for Sunday. And whilst I think about that, we jump from Norwich over the pond stateside to Prof JC. Prof JC, as ever, it is a delight to hear from you. I'm going to jump in straight away with really important international news. It looks like, talk about a backfire, Sweden and Finland, who have been hitherto neutral, have made an application to apply for NATO. Critical to succeeding in that application will be what President Biden and America thinks of it. It looks like they're going to succeed. It's a big day for Sweden, Finland and NATO, isn't it?
It was a big day at the South Lawn of the White House yesterday, and Biden was there, flanked by the Prime Minister of Sweden and the President of Suomi, Finland. Mm-hmm. And all I can say is skål and kippis. It looks like it's going to work, and Turkey will mind its own business, I have a feeling.
Well, I mean, Turkey, of course, a co-member of NATO. Now, one of the things that's really interesting, both here and in America, is a conversation that was taking place, certainly whilst President Trump was in office, about whether there was any enduring point of NATO. Looking across the political spectrum in America, has that discussion, bearing in mind the invasion of Ukraine, pretty much gone to bed, and both Republicans and Democrats kind of agree that moving forward it's a critical alliance?
I think it is, and it showed in a vote yesterday that the GOP, the Republicans, have actually supported the latest funding for Ukraine. So they're really involved, and they are supporting the president on this, maybe on many things. But Putin has really shown all of the Americans that his attempt really backfired. And I think the America is supporting NATO again. This is something Trump, with coordinating with Putin, needless to say, wanted to completely dismember it. And it's not, and it's stronger than ever. Take that, 840 kilometers or miles along the Finnish border. And the Finns and the Swedes are tough cookies.
Now, talking about political leadership, both Trump and President Biden, turning to Trump first, he looked like the crown prince, certainly, of the next election as far as the GOP were concerned. But all eyes, it seems now, are turning to Ron DeSantis in Florida as the presumptive Republican nominee for president. Is that the way you read it?
Well, I as you know, the last show I did with you was from Coral Gables in Florida. Right. And I was astounded to see what an absence of masks there were. Mm-hmm. He's basically condemned the vaccine, condemned masks, and he's really, he is bucking to be in that leadership position. However, Trump may be losing his support. A third of the party is supporting him, but to go to DeSantis as a fallback is quite a stretch. So we'll have to see.
On that, it looks like the midterms are coming up, and it seems that just like here, inflation, the economy, stupid, looks like a significant factor in how various constituencies, various districts are going to vote in America. It did look like for a while that, bearing in mind Roe versus Wade, looks like it's going to be overturned. And some of the leadership that President Biden has been part of in NATO may have steered that ship away from the rocks. What do you think? What's your prediction? It looks like the Democrats are going to take a hammering, right?
Well, I don't know. I think what really gets the liberal Democrats, especially the women, is to know that their rights as human beings will be taken away. And that's what Roe v. Wade is doing, and allowing abortion to become such a religious position. And next, who's next? Do they come for the gays? Do they come for the integrated marriage? In Texas, in Oklahoma today, and in Utah, legislation signed by the governors will be not allowing any form of medical care for a woman who is pregnant from the moment of fertilization. And you, as a lawyer and a judge, this is hard to define where life begins. And that we never said that in this country. But as you also know, this is 50 years of precedent. So we'll shall see. But it sure is energizing the troops and the Democrats. And also on the international level, since now Biden is on the Korean Peninsula, he's showing some strength, and he really brought NATO together, and he's taking a hard stand on equal rights for women and other people in this country.
Yeah, I have my own view about that. There are real, I have to say, bearing in mind that it's the Supreme Court who guaranteed that right, as opposed to the legislature, who would be responsible, have been responsible for those sorts of moral issues in this country. As you're probably aware, we exchange lessons from across the pond with each other. When it comes to issues involving euthanasia, a woman's right to choose, so abortion, and even things like hunting, those are free votes. They're never whipped by the parties. And often they cleave across party lines in this country. It's infinitely more kind of religiously tribal in America. And certainly it would never be left to the our Supreme Court, which for years was the House of Lords, to make that determination. They might have a strong view, but they would say it's for the legislative branch of government to persuade fellow citizens that this should be law. And as we look at the Supreme Court, who have made this determination, and look at the fact that Congress were unable to pass a law protecting women's rights, isn't that an indication of just how broken the legislative branch is?
Well, it is, and we've become tribal nation, red states versus blue states. Now, the Supreme Court is supposed to reconcile the differences between the states and fundamental rights. That's their job. They're not legislators. But when you get down, and this is where Trump comes in, to the polling and the state attorneys general, and you're really allowing that kind of power to be foisted upon the individuals in the state, where a young lady who crosses the border from Texas to go to Oklahoma or whatever, it's very complicated. Mm-hmm. She can be arrested, and they will take a fellow citizen's point of view, and they say, we saw so-and-so going to Oklahoma for an abortion. They can arrest her as a felon, and she's fined and she's thrown into jail. This is not what the founders of this country wanted, Rob.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, I'm one of the few people that have read all of the essays in support, all of the papers in support of the Constitution. It's an extraordinary work and a magical document, and so many of my American friends haven't taken the time to read them. Many of them, of course, written by Hamilton, explaining every single amendment of the Constitution. I have to say, a lot of the modern issues, of course, are silent, but we're going to park that for a second. One of the interesting issues in this country that we're dealing with is the character of our leader and his extended family. And being fair-minded as we have to be in this program, it's right to say that Hunter Biden has created, to say the very least, a problem of the appearance of cronyism. $11 million or thereabouts seemingly has gone to him for being on boards that he wasn't qualified to be on, and that's a charge of significant cronyism. And I wonder, as you, who's pretty much centrist, sometimes Democrat, sometimes in the past advised Republican officials and politicians, what you make of that and the impact it's going to have on Biden running again, bearing in mind his age, and on general attitude towards the political class in America.
Well, when you understand that my former neighbors who lived 4 blocks from here, Jared Kushner and his wife Ivanka Trump, made while working at the White House as paid federal employees, like I was during the Clinton administration, $640 million while working as the White House. This pales by comparison.
But did that have anything to do with them? But did they benefit of that because of their connection with the president? Is that your charge, right?
Of course they did. They were at the White House.
But I mean, you wouldn't say that two wrongs don't make a right. So I have to challenge you on this. I mean, the Hunter Biden issue is something that is a legitimate part of the public discourse. People should be concerned about it, right?
And they are. And it's been a topic, just like Hillary's emails. Right. But it's proven that it's not that big a deal. And when you have, an individual like Trump, who was building the Trump Tower in Moscow, and he was officially going to be naming one of the rooms the Spavanka. I mean, this goes, and there's now new information. I can't say it officially that Trump's been groomed for the last 40 years by the former Soviets.
Well, I mean, whether that proves to be true, I'm not sure how these allegations of spying and counter-spying improve
But you can't really trust those former Kremlin people.
Right. Well, the quality of the discourse and just how frankly polarized America is. Listening, for example, to Tulsi Gabbard, whatever you think about her, but the attack made by Hillary, I hear you, but made by Hillary Clinton, that she was some sort of Russian asset, struck me as one that was, not just sort of weak, but really did kind of violence to the quality of the discourse and was beneath her. I'm not sure if you'd agree with that.
Rob, unfortunately, politics is a money winner. If you're in politics, you can, even afterward, you can make a heck of a lot of money. I know that Clintons.
Yeah, but you see, not in this country. I have to interrupt you. I remember this quote, right, which was, if you come out of politics richer than when you went in, you're corrupt. I look at both Democratic and Republican politicians, and you're right to say that. You think of Maxine Waters, for instance. They end up in coming out of Congress. Nancy Pelosi, of course, I'm pointing people to the left, the people on the right too, that make millions of dollars whilst they are members of Congress. Let me tell you, half the people I know that are eminently qualified simply can't afford to go into politics in this country because it's a job that isn't going to gift you a great deal of wealth unless you reach the upper echelons of the cabinet.
Well, influence has always been part of politics, and you can bring lobbyists into your office, and they can tell you what kind of medical equipment they want you to support, and they do, and that's what it's like. That's why they call it lobbyists. They're actually in the lobby of the Senate and member of Congress, waiting to have a word with him or she.
Right. Well, I want to have a longer discussion with you about lobbyists in due course. It's every time I speak to you, Prof. JC, something interesting emerges. I hope you have a very nice Friday night. It would be very good from America. I don't know what football team you support, but if you could say, "Come on, you Spurs," it would mean a lot to me. Would you mind, Prof. JC?
Come on, Man U. No, come on, Spurs.
Thank you very much. There's Prof. JC. You see, sensible in all things, including Tottenham Hotspur. It's 6:17. You're listening to me on Talk Radio, live from the home of Common Sense.